Well, hello, everyone, and we bring you greetings from Birmingham Bible Church Worldwide. That's right, from wherever you are. We want to welcome you. If you're from the surrounding states of Alabama or across this world, we like to welcome you. And so it is every Wednesday at 12 noon. This is our segment called Winning Wednesday. And so here we like to do a couple of things. We like to, number one, declare that you are a winner. And so I'm going to go old school on you. If you at work and you got a neighbor or a person in a cubicle next to you, just tap them on the shoulder and say, you are a winner. And if you're not working with anyone and you're by yourself, you're at home, put your hand on yourself and say, I am a winner. If you have just logged in and you are in the chat room, just put in the comment section that you are a winner. And so we also like to, on this day, bring you some valuable information, because here at Birmingham Bible Church, we not only want to bring you the Word of God through preaching and teaching, but we also want to help you learn how to live here on earth and to have life more abundantly. And so we ask that you do us a favor. We want you to share this information. If you're watching on Facebook, make sure you share this with someone. If you're on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, BHAM-BC. And then we are on Twitter at James Mason 1. And so this month, the month of April, is also Financial Literacy Month. And so here at Birmingham Bible Church, we want to join in on the nationwide pledge and to help people to focus on how to plan for a more secure financial future. I know when I was a little bit younger, just a few years ago, when I was in high school, no one told me about finances. We had one class in accounting, and that person told us about how to balance a checkbook, and that was pretty much it. So, of course, I made a lot of stupid mistakes. Then I got married. My husband and I made a lot of stupid mistakes together. And so, just kind of looking back, I wish we had classes that really taught us more about saving, about investing, about life insurance, credit card, how important it is to have good credit. And then even interest, those interest rates on those things that we like to purchase with credit cards. And so we want to make sure everyone just become financially smart, in all those areas. And so we hope that after today, that if you have any money weaknesses, that you can turn them into strengths. And so on today, we have a longtime friend of ours, Mr. Damian Carson. He is very well able to cover this topic and possibly address a couple of questions at the end. And so if you have any questions, please make sure you put them in the comment section, and we will try to address them accordingly. And so I want to introduce Damian to you. Damian, before you introduce yourself, I want to say one more quick thing. Go dogs. Okay, there, I got that out. So you can go ahead and introduce yourself.
Thank you. Can you hear me, Pastor Pam, Miss Lady Pam?
Yes, I hear you just
Okay,
fine. Yes, sir.
there we go. Look, so as you was talking, it's like a family reunion for me. So
Uh-huh.
anytime I get a chance to be around you and Pastor Mason, it brings us a big old smile and joy to my face as well as my heart. And before you said Bulldogs, I was typing in the
Yeah,
comments.
I
So if you
see that.
see me looking down, I put on there "Go Bulldogs," and
That's
so
right.
yeah, so I'm excited to be with you here on Winning Wednesdays. You know, a little bit about me. I've been in this space. You know, you was teasing me earlier about my gray that's coming up on my beard. I said, I'm not a young whippersnapper anymore. But a little bit about me. I had a chance to go to University of Georgia, a student athlete, full athletic scholarship, and really had a chance to just study and learn about money. You know, growing up, I didn't have much. I know my mom taught me the value of a dollar. And so, needless to say, my background and what I studied was consumer economics, right? So it's like if I want to make money and know about money, then let me study about money. And so from there, I went on and did an internship at a financial firm and thought I would do that full time, but really, that wasn't my heart desire. But I didn't realize it at the time and really pursued it and was looking. I was like, it's just not for me. And I was thinking about that because the as I introduced myself, I'm gonna sort of flow into the conversation. But most times, Pam, when people think about being financially secure and financially smart, you think that you have to have a lot of money, right? And that was me even doing the internship because at a financial firm, we were working with high wealth individuals who had, $100,000 to invest or whatever the case may be, which was total opposite from me. And I was like, well, with a little bit of knowledge I knew at that point, I didn't want to help folks who had $100,000 that could invest. I want to be able to help the folks, and I relate to the people who sometimes may not feel like they got a pot to use the restroom in.
Mhm.
And just being able to use what they have and just really being smart and sound with the financial decisions that they make. And so I did that for some time and just, made it a decision in my life, Pam, that you know what, I'm gonna be financially smart. And I think that's what we're talking about. And I've been doing it since, I was 21 years old, and just had a chance to serve. I'm a certified housing coach, credit coach, money manager. I mean, you name it, anything, all things money, right? And just finances and even stewardship and the importance of sitting on the board with Crown Financial Ministries and things of that nature. And I could go on and on about me, but I'm here to really share, and hopefully encourage some people that's out there. I don't claim to know everything, but I got 20 plus years in this game, and some impact that I'm very thankful for, and I just give the glory and honor to God for that. So I'm excited to be here with you today.
Yeah, I'm excited too, and so tell us, give us some advice, for those, and we have various people who are watching. So we got seniors, we have millennials, college students, people who
Mhm.
just got out of college. We have one child in our house who's getting ready to, in another year, graduate from college. And so, can you give us some advice? I think we had a little discussion a few minutes ago just about compounding interest, and so I'm gonna let you
Mhm.
give way to that discussion.
Definitely. Thank you. And, the three things that I want to talk about today is going to hit all those buckets, right? And all those segments that we talked about, whether you just finished college, getting ready to go to college, maybe on the latter part of your earning years, and you looking to retire, anything from A to Z. And the three things that I really want to hone in and talk about, and everything that we talk is going to pivot from these three, because these three really, uh, it really gave me the determination to really just minimize the distractions that I was going through, and we all have those distractions. Whether if I'm in college, the distractions of trying to fit in and do what other folks may be doing. I was talking to one of my good friends. He was the best man in my wedding, and he was like, "Hey, Damian, man, I wish I had been, cheap. I used to be cheap. Now I'm frugal, Lady Pam. So back then I was known to be cheap." And wish he had done some of the things versus, back in the day, spending money on CDs and stuff that really were more liabilities versus assets. And then even finishing college and then trying to figure out what I'm going to do, and sometimes being distracted by trying to keep up with the Joneses, or do what the neighbors doing, or maybe some friends that you went to school with. And even in the latter part of trying to go on vacations, and maybe get your groove back, or whatever the case may be. Those all can be distractions if we're not very careful to understand what it is that we ultimately trying to do. And so the first thing that I really want to talk about is in the business world, we hear this often, and it's called the ROI, a return on investment, right? Every decision that I make with the finances that I have is an investment decision. No if and buts about it. So there's some key principles that I'm govern myself with every time I make a transaction, every time I make a purchase. And for that individual, you have to think about, hey, on this return on investment, right? Is this going to be a good investment, right? That's going to yield me a return that's going to grow, or is this a bad investment that's going to be a liability and cause me to perhaps even go into debt, right? And understanding what that looks like, and understanding that not all debt is bad debt. So it could be debt, but purchasing a home, and we're going to talk a little bit about that, and interest related to purchasing a home and what it looks like. But I'm thinking, and I'm constantly asking myself, what's the return on investment? The next thing that I'm looking at is this notion of opportunity cost, right? I think for many people, I know for me growing up, it was like, what can I get now? Right. And we live in a society now from a distraction. And I don't care if you just finished school, where you at with Instagram, Facebook, people flogging, or, making their lifestyle look one way, and they totally live in some other kind of way. And I'm not knocking that. Some people may have it. Do what you do. I know for many folks that could be a temptation, right? It can be a distraction to want to, instead of go through the process of what we're talking about, perhaps even cheat the process, right? And understanding, oh, boom, I got to have it now. I got to have it now. And so when we understand opportunity costs, and that's the return on the decision that I make related to me purchasing an asset, right? Which is going to allow me to build wealth, or Is it going to be a liability, right, over the long term that's going to require me to go into debt and perhaps having to take out a loan and some other things? And then the last one I'm going to talk about, but I'm not going to go into detail, is this notion around compound interest. And, when I did the internship at that financial firm, Lady Pam, the saying around there was like, he who understands interest earns it, and he who doesn't pays it. Right? And so it's understanding interest and the power of compound interest, regardless of where you may be in that spectrum. So, one, I'm thinking about the return on investment, everything, my time, where I spend my money specifically, what kind of return can I get on that investment? And then the opportunity cost. What does that look like, right? For me making a decision, is it going to help me reach my financial goal, or is it going to deter me and keep me from reaching it as soon as I can?
That's good. And so what does that look like for people who want to purchase a house?
Hmm.
And I've talked to people about this. You have quite a few financial things that you do on Wednesdays. And I remember asking this question, is it a good time to buy a house? And if it is, what is a good interest rate?
Right.
I'm not being swindled.
You're right about it, Lady Pam. And it's always a good time to purchase a home. I know now it's more of a seller's market where the prices are inflated, right? So you got people paying, uh 10, 20, 30 extra thousand per whatever the listing price is for a particular home because of the inventory
Right.
uh being so limited at this point. You think of the price of timber and things of that nature has driven the price points of homes up. But long term, a home is an asset, right? And you have to really understand that to really appreciate it at the end of the day, because even when you look at renting, a mortgage costs just as much as rent in some cases.
For
And so when
sure.
I'm looking at the interest rate, each day, the interest rates may fluctuate, right? And I know, when we were deep into COVID and the pandemic, the interest rates were at an all-time low. And then also part of those interest rates, you had to think about the mortgage rates,
Hmm.
right? Which were tied to the interest rate from the standpoint of determining what a mortgage interest rate was.
Hmm.
And here's the thing about the compound interest for me to think about it, just interest in general, right? So typically, if we thinking about purchasing a home, you're going to finance that house for at least 30 years, typically, right? Most financial advisors say, hey, go 15, you know, tomato, go 15, you're going to pay it off quicker. You're going to have a larger payment, but you're going to get it paid off 15 years earlier, right? I was
Hmm.
driving and stressing the importance of refinancing mortgages, and even now, based off the low interest rates. And when you think about it, when I say, okay, I'm paying 4% on the interest rate, and typically that's what you're going to get right now, between the 3 and 4% roughly, right? And that's going to be based on your credit score. It's going to be based off collateral, some other things. And so if you are looking to purchase a home, I would look to get at least three pre-approval letters, right, from different financial institutions, and get a good faith estimate, right? So what I'm looking at there is determine, okay, what interest rate are you charging me, and then we know there's some other fees associated with that. So having those documents so you can really compare apples to apples is going to help you make a decision on whether or not you want to go with this particular lender versus another lender. The reason I say that, because even when we was looking to refinance, we went from a 3.5 interest rate to right at a two and some change interest rate. Now it's only a percent difference, right? But I was able to refinance my mortgage from we had but 25 years to a 15 year, and my mortgage payment hardly even changed.
Wow.
So I just erased what 10 years of mortgage payment. So if
Yeah.
I'm paying $1,000 a month times 12 times 15 is how much money I saved off reducing my interest rate by 2%.
Oh, wow.
And so when you look at it over the long term, right, 2% don't mean a lot maybe right now, but when you look at it over 15 years, 30 years, right, and that's what we're talking about is we talking about being financially smart, it's going to pay. I mean, I get fired up thinking about that, you know? Yeah.
And so let me ask you, so when should someone refinance? You know, if I've been in a house for a year, is there a certain time limit? Do you have to be in your house for so many months before you can refinance?
Right. Typically, it's about 2 years
Yeah.
there because, you know, in order to refinance, you do have to have some lenders require you to have 80% loan to value. So
Okay.
you need to at least have some equity built up into the property. So, you know, typically about 2 years in or so, that'll fit that scenario. But you know, during COVID, you had some that was that it didn't matter if you had 80%. You know, I think a lot of financial institutions was really concerned about people foreclosing, perhaps on mortgages with, you know, the unemployment rate being as high as it was, and some other factors there. And so a lot of the banks were really working with people. But here's the thing about it, Pam, we understand the language of money. I didn't have mortgage companies beating down my door for me to refinance,
Good to
right?
be
I didn't get a letter from my mortgage company, and I'm not going to put them out there to say,
right.
hey, take advantage of these low interest rates,
Right.
right? So that's why part of Our Money Matters, when you talked about it, I want to be the voice. I want to spread the word. I want to tell people about it, right? Because we got to think about it. And I'm not here to bash banks, but when you understand the business model,
Hmm.
right, and it's tied to economics, they want to make money. So
Exactly.
if they can keep you paying a 30-year mortgage when they know you can get a 15, right,
Right.
at a lower interest rate, but that's not what they do. So I'm not mad at the bank. You know what I'm saying? I get it. And that's why I shopped around because I know it's just like going to the gas station. Somebody might have gas for this price. You go down the street, it's 20 cents less. Right. So I know that those dollars and coins add up over the long haul
Yeah.
there.
And let me ask you, what about seniors? And I see these commercials all the time about, I don't know if it's refinancing or if it's home equity, and they're always targeting seniors. And
Yes.
so, what is your advice on that? Because I had a family member who actually did the process, got a home equity loan, and I believe her mortgage pay, well, not her mortgage, her monthly payment went primarily more towards the interest. I mean, it was just, I mean, very little going towards the principal. How can we keep our seniors from making those kind of those mistakes?
Right. And you know that happens even with again from I'm gonna say 18 to 88,
Okay.
right? You know, with people making those type of decisions. You know, the thing about it, even when you get a mortgage, right, and the reason it's 30 years, those first 5 or 10 years are strictly going toward interest, right? So when you look at the amortization on the mortgage, you're not hitting the principal until like maybe year 7, if then, right? So just the nugget for those who have a mortgage, make an additional payment a year, right? And tell them you want that to go toward principal.
Mm-hmm.
That if you don't refinance and keep a 30-year mortgage can knock anywhere from probably 5 to 7 years off your mortgage by paying that extra mortgage payment per year, right? So with the home equity line of credit, you know, for some people it may fit their financial situation there if they need to pay down debt or whatever the case may be. It's not something that I'm a fan of, you know. I just believe there's other ways that we can go about it, but in some cases, you know, people may have to tap into a home equity line of credit to free up some debt or whatever the case may be, but doing so having a plan, right? And that's what we talk about even here, you know, having a plan and really being able to look at the opportunity costs,
Mm-hmm.
right, of me tapping into equity now to cover a debt or whatever the case may be versus over the long term, where would that have me from a financial position.
Yeah.
You know, the other thing, more so with the elders, is this whole notion around reverse mortgages,
That's
right?
it.
And I think a lot of, folks there were getting people to do a reverse mortgage. Well, basically, you get payments for the home each month, so you do get money, but you actually tapping into the equity,
Mm,
right? So you typically think, somebody 65, 70 and them pay for their house. That house is an asset at that point.
mhm,
Once you go into a reverse mortgage, that asset now starts to become a liability
mm.
because I'm pulling down the equity, perhaps that I've been able to accumulate over that time, but you don't own the home. And that's the other thing behind it. So it's a complicated
Yeah.
equation around reverse mortgages. And again, for some people it may work for them based off their situation, and and where they are. And then for some, it may not be the best option for them, but
Yeah.
it is an option, Lady Pam, at the end of the day.
Yeah. And
Hmm.
probably some seniors or whomever probably need to tap into that because, their retirement, and that's another discussion for another day, but maybe they don't
Right.
have enough in retirement. So now, and then of course the inflation things are costing more now,
Hmm.
and their retirement doesn't supplement that, so they have to tap into that, or do that reverse mortgage. And so, what about compounding interest for a car? So talk
Hmm.
about those who want to purchase a car. I remember years ago, our credit was shot. And so the guy wanted to offer us like 28% interest on a vehicle. Of course, we said, no, thank you, and walked out of there. We worked on our credit. And so, of course, years later, we were able to get what we wanted. But talk about that, if you
Hmm.
don't mind.
Yeah. So that's one of the reasons that I don't like credit cards, right?
Okay.
And I know you asked about cars, but when you said 28% interest,
Yep.
and here's the thing, and I'm closing my eyes as I think about this. And it's the same thing when you go to purchase a car. The good thing is, Lady Pam, you knew what the interest rate was, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
oftentimes, from my experience, what happens, someone goes to the car lot, they want to purchase a car. One of the first things the sales rep asks you is how much can you afford, or what do you want your monthly payments to be?
Mm-hmm.
That's it. And typically people don't even get past that, right?
Mm.
And it's the mindset, even when people may go to rent to own, and I'm not knocking rent to own and things of that nature, but the mindset is thinking, okay, what can I afford right now? They're not looking at opportunity cost,
Right.
right? So that's why I talk about opportunity cost for us to think about it long term, right? So I'm thinking I go in, I want to pay $350 for a car.
Mm-hmm.
The sales rep and the finance folks, they can make any car fit within a 350. They can make the car fit right, whatever your payments is. So you just giving them an answer, right, that they don't even know at this point. So when April and I, we bought two cars in our whole life, Lady Pam, and
Mm-hmm.
and we went. They want to ask me how much you want to pay. I said no, I want. Let me look. I want to look for. I know the game. I study this, right? So I want to learn the game, and I need to look at the paperwork,
Mm-hmm.
right? So typically, somebody go in $350 payment for a car, no problem. It's not until they look at the paperwork. I've had family members had this happen to them. So they ain't looked at how old the car is typically, how
Yeah.
many miles they got on the car. They got a car paying $350 a month, upwards of 20 some percent interest, right? And Pam, here it is. People financing cars for 7 years. You don't finance a car for 7 years, right?
Right.
Maybe five, but
Right.
typically three.
Right.
So then they wonder, well, how did I get underwater on this vehicle? You got underwater because, first of all, the value of that car is not going to be sustainable over that 7 year time frame of you paying $350 for 7 years. I mean, do the math on $350 a month times 12 times 7 on a 2003, uh you name a car. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
so typically what happens, somebody may have a wreck, right? The car's only worth 5,000, you owe 25,000,
Mm-hmm.
you stuck with $20,000 debt.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not necessarily thinking the opportunity cost long term on what this decision is doing for me. Is it going to be an asset or is it going to be a liability? Now, I know some people get into a crunch and they got to have a car now. I get that, right? That's why I don't like the buy here, pay here, spots and things of that nature. It's the same thing, Pam, the mindset when people tend to get payday loans, right? They're not thinking opportunity costs. I need it now. So
Mm-hmm.
until you read the paperwork to see that you paying almost 300 to 400% interest, because they feel, oh well, I can pay $25 or $30 and just keep having it,
Mm-hmm.
renew, if you will. We're not thinking about that. And that payday loan is forever. Typically when you have to get the paying it month to month.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And so understanding just interest, right? The example that I gave when I was able to refinance my house from 4% to
Mm-hmm.
2%, not go from 3.5 to 2. Y'all work with me. I'm getting fired up. But I reduced the interest by less than 2%
Oh.
and saved 10 years, right, of mortgage payments. You know what I'm saying? That's the power of interest. Now, when we talk about compound interest, right? And so now we're talking about why I want to invest, right? Because typically you're not going to be able to earn wealth just by making money, like working at a job all your life, right? We
Right.
have to put that money to work,
Yes.
right? And the way we do it is compound interest. So compound interest is interest that you earn on your initial investment,
Mm-hmm.
right? Plus the interest that you earn on top of the interest.
Okay.
Albert Einstein said it, Lady Pam, compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world, right? So I don't want to talk about saving in a 401k I need people to understand today compound interest and the power of it. So he who knows about interest earns it. He who or
Right.
she who doesn't, they pay it. So I got a couple examples. One I want to take a look at, and I just wrote it down, and you all can go to nerdwallet.com. You got compound interest calculators. So you can go run the numbers, see for yourself exactly what I'm talking about. When I saw this at the financial firm when I was doing the internship, it changed my whole life. I understood opportunity costs right then and there. I understood return on investment, and I understood compound interest. I drove my truck, my Ford Ranger truck, Lady Pam, for almost 19 years. I didn't have a car note for 16 years because I understood that. Right? I drive my truck. I roll these window downs because when I read A Million Down Next Door, they all drove four F-150s. So I said I want to get there a little sooner, so I'm gonna drive a Ford XLT manual window. You remember my little white truck, manual windows, cassette player. I was able to bless my brother with that truck. But anyhow, so what are you saying, Damian? Break it down. So if I take $1,000,
Okay.
right, and I'm earning 8% interest over 20 years, right?
Okay.
So I'm just making a one-time investment, $1,000. And typically that investment, Lady Pam, is going to need to go into, you can use a Roth IRA, right? A traditional IRA. It's going to have to go into some type of investment vehicle,
Okay.
right? We can do it in a 401k at work,
Okay.
right? And we'll talk a little bit about how do I determine the 401, which
Mhm.
prospectus or which vehicle to invest in with the 401k. So
Mhm.
it's investing in a number of those vehicles that I just talked about. One-time investment, $1,000, 8% interest.
Okay.
In 20 years, you're going to have a little less than $5,000, right? So that was just a one-time investment.
Yeah.
You just want $8,000, $1,000, 8% interest one time. It accumulates to $4,928 in 20 years, which it's good, but that
Yeah.
ain't really doing nothing, right?
Right.
So now I'm taking the $1,000, right? And so now I want to put in an extra $100 a month, right? So I'm investing extra $100 a month, $25 a week, right? And we could break it down even more than that. Same example, $1,000, and I'm investing $100 a month. Over 20 years, that turns into $64,229.
Wow.
That's not $100,000 a start, right?
Right.
That's just getting started with something. So I get fired up thinking about that, right? Because most people, and I challenge them, look, we can save more than $100 a month, right?
If we give up some hairdos and some tennis shoes, I mean, we can find $100.
Opportunity cost. That's it right there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So another opportunity cost. April went natural. She got her hair blowed out the other day. Boy, I was like, okay, baby. But part of it, Lady Pam, to your point, we got intentional about opportunity costs, about everything from an expense standpoint that we pay or, thought we had to pay on a regular basis. And so we became ultra savers related to compound interest and things of that nature. I want to give one more to you, and this is going to hopefully hit home. So now we're going to look at a $300 a month, right? And if we can't do $300 a month, don't get caught up on 300. Go with 30, $3 a month,
Right.
30 cents a month. See, whatever. So, but $300 a month, 9% interest, right?
Right.
Over 40 years.
40 years. All right.
40 years. Right. So 300 a month, 9% interest over 40 years. And I'm using 8%, 9% because those are realistic rate of returns.
Okay.
That's going to be a pretty safe investment vehicle.
Okay. Okay.
Right. So when we look at the average rate of return, right, and you're going to get that typically with the 401k or Roth or traditional IRA, and somebody can choose a target date fund. Right. So that's going to be, a simple target date fund, which will probably get you about 7% interest. It's not going to be too aggressive, right? But it's not going to be too non-aggressive, right? And it's going to be based off your retirement age, right? So if I'm, 20 and I want to retire at 65, then, in 45 years, then that's the target date fund that I'm going to choose, right? For my investment vehicle. So that way, the way those target date funds are set, either you invested in stocks or you invested in bonds typically. And as you get closer to retirement, it's going to sell the stock and purchase more bonds so you can really maintain what you've been able to accumulate over that time, right? So that's a do-it-yourself method. You don't want to just stay at a target date fund, but we talking about, okay, entry level, let me get going. Because as we do it, we got to have knowledge. We have to start getting experience. And then some people may have to get a financial coach or a financial advisor. So this is around the knowledge and experience standpoint. Okay. So $300 a month, 9% interest over 40 years. Now they've paid, or that person would pay roughly $144,000, right? But guess how much the investment would be due to compound interest? $1.27 million.
Wow.
$300 a month, Lady Pam.
Yep.
Earning 9% interest, compound annually for 40 years, over $1.27 million. So if they listening, was like, man, I trust Damian. I know Pam and Dr. Mason won't have just anybody on here. Go to Nerd Wallet, pull up a compound interest calculator, right? And plug in the numbers for yourself. And the cool thing about it, it'll give you an amortization chart. So you can see the principal and then whatever interest that it earns, right? One more example, and I'm going to hush, and we'll talk.
This is good.
And so simple math for me, I think multiples of 10. So if I save $100 a year and I'm earning 10% interest, at the end of that year, I now have $110. Right?
Right.
Now $110 is getting 10% interest.
Mm-hmm.
right? So I get the interest on top of the 10 that I got the first year.
Mm-hmm.
Now that 110 get hit 10%,
Mm-hmm.
right? I don't know that number off the top of my head, but y'all know what I'm saying. So then whatever that number is after year 2, it gets a chance to earn 10% interest.
Mm-hmm.
Year 3, so on and so forth,
Yeah.
right? So if I do $1,000, 10% interest, now I got $1,100 at the end of the month, end of the year. Now that 1,100 get 10% interest. Now I got roughly 12, about $1,200. You see what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? But
Mm-hmm.
we want to do more than just 1,000,
Right.
right? Or
Exactly.
just the 100 or the 300 that we talked about, which goes back to the opportunity cost, right? So if I'm a college student, maybe you know what, and I'm not knocking them. I was once there. I may not need to go out this weekend, right? I don't need to get the new Jesus or the Jordans or whatever the case may be, right? Perhaps this time, not all 4 years, but maybe this time,
Right.
right? I get out of college, right? Maybe I don't get the brand new whip, right?
Right.
Maybe I drive my uncle F Ford truck that he let me drive with no car payments, right? Till I was able to save up a little bit,
Yeah.
right? Or maybe I'm in my latter years. Maybe I don't go on vacation this time, perhaps, depending on your situation and what you're trying
Mm-hmm.
to do,
Do a
right?
staycation.
Yeah, staycation. You see what I'm saying? Maybe I'm not able to buy the grandkids a bunch of stuff if I got grandkids this one time. So
Mm-hmm.
there's some level of sacrifice, but looking at the opportunity cost on what would that be and what could that benefit me in the long term. And
Mm-hmm.
so I don't know if you have any questions or if people have questions, but before we go, I do want to talk about the 401k, the
Yeah.
max that you can put into it, so
Yeah.
on and so forth, so we can really, have an idea of what's going on here. And even opportunity costs. Lady Pam, you don't have to interrupt me because I'm rolling. So if you
No, you're fine. You're
raise,
good. I'm writing the
okay,
question down if I got one. Go ahead.
okay, yeah, raise your hand, Lady Pam. um, you know, the other thing that I was going to say, even with the opportunity cost, is just thinking about it, just pausing for a minute to realize uh, those buying decisions at the end of the day. Right. And it's not to say you can't have no fun, you can't go and hang out and do those things. But you know what? When I'm thinking about it and when I'm prioritizing, Lady Pam, after I give my tenth to the Lord, I'm paying myself second,
Mm-hmm.
period.
That's it.
So that helps sets the behavior that I need from an opportunity cost standpoint. You see what
Yep.
I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going, instead of giving myself the scraps at the end of the month, if I have it, no, I'm number two. I,
Mm-hmm.
I, I got I gotta pay me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then I want to be able to, to put that money to work once I'm able to accumulate a certain amount for emergencies and things of that nature. But
Yeah.
that's how we do that. So don't get caught up on the percentages. I mean, we know a tenth to the Lord, we get that, right? And if you can do more, do more. You do more because He owns it all. And then I'm paying myself. So I had to get to a place, Pam. I'm like, look, if I'm paying myself 25%, I got to get a Lord a little bit more than them 10. But that was just me looking at it. So
Yeah.
that's why I kept my overhead low, right? And I could go on and on and on, about how I did that. But again, it's so much a part of me. At the end of the day, I can't shake it. But I'm so thankful for it, right? But I realized, through it all, why I was able to accumulate, and it wasn't just for me, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the peace, it's the freedom, it's being able to give, it's been able to enjoy, it's to be able to show the Lord that He can trust me with more. So
Mm-hmm.
when I'm thinking about the opportunity cost, Lady Pam, then me sitting down creating a spending plan is second nature. I want to create a spending plan at that point, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm gonna pay myself first, and I'm thinking, okay, what else can I eliminate to pay me first? And
Mm-hmm.
that pay me first can go toward the 401k, because I know, hey, for the year I can save at least $19,500,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then if I'm 50 or older, I can put in an extra 6,500 if I'm at that point. For our IRA, I can save $6,000 a year, right? Max. If I'm 50 or older, I can save 7,000, so I can save an extra 1,000, right? And for my business owners out there, they can set up a self-employed pension IRA. You can save up to 56,000, and that depending on your sales,
Yeah.
right? And so there's so many other benefits, and maybe we'll come back for part two around if I do the 401k,
Yeah.
because if I do it before tax, that reduces my tax liability,
Right.
right? I'm
Right.
looking at opportunity cost to minimize my risk, right? If I do it after tax, then when I withdraw it, Lady Pam, I don't have to pay taxes on it. So
Yeah.
I'm doing it before and I'm doing it after. I want a tax break now, and I
Right.
don't want to pay taxes then.
Exactly.
Then you get a business, the employer, they may give you 50 cents, right, per every dollar or whatever. Typically they have some type of match, right? So
Exactly. Yep.
even if they give them 50%, it may not sound like a lot in its 50 cent, but it's up to a certain percent that you save, right? So if you're able to save $10,000 and they're gonna give you 50 cents on the dollar, they
Mm-hmm.
giving you $5,000,
Right.
and you ain't done nothing. Even if you just put that money in the savings over the years that don't even draw compound interest,
Right.
what can that do? That's smart.
Yeah.
Right? At the end of the day. And we have to think when we leave from an opportunity cost, I don't want to get a withdrawal, right? And now having to pay interest on it. And I
Right.
got to get an early withdrawal penalty on me.
Right.
Uh-uh. We're just going to roll it over,
Right.
right? We're not going to take that money because that's what happened. You pay a pre withdrawal penalty and you get taxed on that money, right? Almost 50% gone. What if I roll it over? It still can build interest. It still can get compound interest,
Yeah.
right? That ain't for you to take then, perhaps. But if I know it, then maybe I won't make those decisions, right? Because we think, oh, it's a check. Oh, it's a check. But remember, it was for your retirement,
Mm-hmm.
right? So $300 a month, 9% interest a year for 40 years. I'm at 1.27 mil, Lady Pam.
Yep.
So that's the power of opportunity cost and compound interest for those who I hope think are trekking with me to think about it at the end of the day, right? And if I'm out there and maybe I got credit card debt, and many people do, right? When you look at it, like I think I don't know the statistics, but the average household credit card debt is probably anywhere from $15,000 to $20,000.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing. The credit card company, what they do, send you that statement, make the minimum payment, $15, $20, whatever the case may be. So compound interest working against you for those who may have a credit card bill and looking at a credit card statement, because now by law, they have to put that on the statement. If I'm making a minimum payment,
Mm-hmm.
right, and you don't charge that card no more, just the minimum payment off the balance, how long it would take you to pay that little debt off. I guarantee you it's 40 plus years
Oh, yeah.
because they charging you 26% interest.
Yep.
Crazy. When we can't even really get that much unless you've been in the game for a minute on the return on investment over the years,
Yeah.
26%. So that's why I don't like credit cards. That's why I get frustrated. You know what I'm saying about them at the end of the day? Because no, I don't know. No, no, no. So that's why you hear about the debt snowball, the debt avalanche, right? So if
Mm-hmm.
it's just making the minimum payments, I get that. Let's have a plan, right? To pay that debt down. And then once I get that one debt paid, if I was making $15 payment on that one, I'm gonna take that 15 and put it toward the next debt. And you
Yeah.
could start it from the highest balance, right? Or you can do it from the highest interest rate, however you want to do it. But we have to do it.
Yeah.
That's opportunity cost. That's costing you more than what you realize at paying $15, $25 a month minimum payment. No more. So that's a non-negotiable here. No credit card debt, period.
Amen.
Yeah. So, and if I do, I'm gonna get the points and pay it off at the end of the month, but I'm not carrying no balance month to month. I got a little fired up, carried away. Hopefully I said something good, Lady Pam.
No,
Look,
no,
I told you I took off today, so I'm good and relaxed.
life. No, no, this was good. And let me ask you this. And so for those, when you talked about, you give God your 10%, or, you give him your percentage, whatever that is,
Hmm.
and then you pay yourself. How much do you pay yourself, I guess, in percentage of your income? Because what I'm gathering from you is that I need to save some, so I need to put some of my money in savings, and
Hmm.
then probably I need to put some of my money towards, the Roth IRA or the traditional IRA. So,
Hmm.
what percentage of somebody's income should somebody pay themselves? And when you said pay themselves, you ain't talking about, going to Saks and ordering the latest bag, and you ain't talking about that, are you?
I'm not talking about that. I'm
Okay,
I'm glad
okay,
you
make sure you
clarified it.
clarify that. Yeah,
But for some people, it may be that
yeah,
perhaps,
yeah,
and that's why it's important for people to really be true to themselves and what that looks like for them,
yeah.
at the end of the day. For me, Lady Pam, it's cologne,
Uh,
right? And people will be like, Damian, you spend that much on some cologne? I do, but I get it at a discount rate. But
mhm.
but I say it could be worse. You know what I'm saying? And so just understanding what that looks like for somebody, right?
Yeah.
And just having a plan and having that built in, for you to think about it. But from a percentage standpoint, that's a great question. Typically, uh, it, we've been taught to save at least 10% of your income,
Right.
right?
Mhm,
That was back in the day, right? I know for me, you save 10% of your income typically when other things are requiring so much more of it,
mhm,
right? And that's the whole notion of people, spending, maybe taking on some additional debt, right? Because when you think about capitalism and the economy,
mhm,
it's built upon people spending money,
mhm,
right? So that's why you hear oftentimes, from my perspective, save 10%,
mhm,
right? That's a start. So if I'm starting, I want to get up to save 10. It may be 5% of your income, but I'm gonna say save as much as you can, 20 to 25%, right? It depends on how intentional and how bad, if you will, do you want to build the wealth? Like,
mhm.
what do you really want in a sense, to really determine that percent. But at least 10% starting out, and then grow that over time, right? Of what that may look like, because with that 10%, it's that's also part of saving. That's
Mhm.
also part of what you would then save in a 401k,
Okay.
right? So I'm saying save 10%, and
Right.
then I'm trying to max out that 401k if I can. Now, when I first started working, my first job, which I did start my first business, but I was working at Nike. I couldn't max it out like I wanted to, Lady Pam,
Yeah.
but at least I got the match, right? So
Yeah.
whatever Nike was matching, that I'm gonna get that full match,
Yeah.
at the end of the day,
Yeah.
if you will. And so, but eventually you want to be able to max out that 401k, or if I get a raise at the end of the year, instead of me taking that money to go toward my lifestyle, let me go ahead and contribute that toward the 401k, if you will.
Or that,
Um,
or
yeah,
the stimulus check that everybody just received. Or
yeah,
some
or the
people
stimulus
have that.
check.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just having a plan for that. And so, my whole notion is that I'm going to earn, I'm gonna give, and I'm going to save.
Mhm.
And then I'm going to enjoy. Um, and so those are just four buckets that I think about, related to being able to save and make, being financially sound smart there.
Okay.
Yeah, and the other 10%, Lady Pam, when you think about it, because the biggest expense most people have is a mortgage or rent, right?
Mhm.
And then the next largest expense is a car note, right? And some people like, lease cars or whatever the case may be. If that's what they do, then that's fine. Mine was like, you know what? I'm eliminate the car payment, because I don't technically got to have a car payment. Do
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? Which allowed me to then save even more
Mm-hmm.
from an opportunity cost. I can make that money work. And then maybe one day, if I want to go buy a car cash or whatnot, or whatever the case may be, and not even have a car note, then perhaps I could do that at that particular time.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Damon, say that again. You said earn. It was 4 buckets. Earn, save,
earn, give,
yeah,
save, and enjoy.
and enjoy.
Hmm.
That's
Yep.
good.
Earn, give, save, and enjoy. So when I say save, again, that's investing,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
and that's the foundation that we're talking about, Lady Pam,
Right.
right? And then I know some people talk about stocks and stuff like that. You invested in stocks in that 401k,
Mm-hmm.
right? You invested in stocks in the IRA.
That's
You invested in stocks in that self-employed pension,
right.
right? So it's a distraction for some who may not be ready to
Right.
take on that type of risk
Yeah.
to invest in individual stocks and things of that nature,
Yeah.
right? So when people like GameStop, and I know I was tweeting and talking about it because I was able to get it at $5 a share, but it was for people to think a little bit about the opportunity cost,
Right.
right? So $5 a share, even if it gets up to 10, I done doubled my money,
Exactly.
right? So if people looking to double their investment, then there's a rule of 72. You typically not going to double it like you would in the investment. But even if I had lost that investment that was $5 a share, I'm cool. Like
Right.
that's the risk that I was willing to take. That
Right.
wasn't for everybody, but
Mm-hmm.
it was for people to think about it from an opportunity cost, even if it's fractional shares. But before we do that, let's max out the 401k. All
Mm-hmm.
right, let's get the benefits of the Roth IRA and
Right.
things of that nature. And then once we get that taken care of, then we can venture out into some other things.
That's
And
good.
this whole notion around cryptocurrency, and I'm not knocking cryptocurrency
Yeah.
by no means, but right now it's like a form of gambling in a sense because it's just not enough opportunity. It's just not enough information to really make a decision to tell. If you don't know how it works and then
Right.
how to make a transaction with it, then typically you don't want to do that. That can be a distraction, right? Because people see, ooh, Dogecoin, Bitcoin,
Bitcoin.
Coinbase,
Yeah.
and so on and so forth. Now, perhaps you may want to invest in some of those through a 401k,
Mm.
right? Through your Roth IRA, so it can be diversified at the end of the day. So that way, if cryptocurrency was to tank for whatever the case may be, you
Mhm.
don't lose it all. So I'm not putting all my eggs in one basket, right? Which is the beauty of a 401k or a Roth IRA, right? Because those are different funds that's diversified
Mhm.
there that allow you to take advantage of the different industries as they grow,
Right.
right? And it's just a good sound way to start.
This is good. So, and Damien, for those who, who can't, or let's just say they are their job, they are maxing out their job, or that they're matching it. Can they go to their local bank and start a, Roth IRA or traditional IRA? Can they do that?
They can. You surely can. You could, go to your local bank, credit union.
Mhm.
You could do it on, Vanguard or Fidelity,
Mhm.
um, or whatnot, depending on your comfort level. And so someone there at the bank or that financial institution would go over that information with you.
Okay.
To look at the prospectus is what it's called to determine, where that money's being invested. The average rate of return. I'm typically looking for at least 10 years.
Mhm.
Because here's the thing, Lady Pam, we realize there's always going to be some bear, bull and bear markets,
Yeah.
right? We had the housing crash many years ago,
Yep.
right? We in COVID-19.
Mhm.
That's what, about 10 years, 11, 12, 10 years or so.
Mhm.
In the next 10 years, we're going to have another crisis,
Exactly.
right? It's inevitable at the end of the day. So that's why I'm looking at a 10-year average rate of return. So yeah, one year, coming out of COVID, if I'm invested in Tesla and Zoom and that's the demand right now, that demand's going to, decrease. And
Right.
maybe I get 30% return.
Right.
Next year, I might get a negative 5% return, but I'm
Right.
not going to be moved by that because I'm looking at opportunity costs
Right.
10 years. So that average over 10 years, whether I got a housing crisis or if the housing market is off the chain, if I got COVID-19 or whatever the next situation is, I know on the average in 10 years what that's going to look like for me. And so that's why I'm a big proponent of looking at a 10-year rate of return, right? So you have some perspectives. It's only been out for a year,
Mm-hmm.
right? And maybe it was invested in technology.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we know technology had like one of the best years ever, right? People ordering stuff online,
Yep.
right? People pivoting. I'm still ordering stuff online, right? It's become a part of your everyday lifestyle. But I know it's not going to be able to keep up with that same growth, right?
Right.
So that's why I want to see how is something performed over at least 10 years. That gives me a pretty solid track record, at the end of the day to be, comfortable with
Mm-hmm.
in a sense. So I'm not just freaking out about how much money I made and things of that nature. So,
Yeah.
as we make it smart, we can't get analysis of paralysis,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because you're not going to totally understand it. You know what I'm saying? And we could talk about stock markets and the bell curve and the box and the this, that, and the third. I mean, if you want to know that, you can, but the biggest piece to know over a 10-year average rate of return, what's my money going to look like
Right.
there? You know what I mean? And that's the piece that I think hopefully it can give you, knowing that, what I'm thinking about from an opportunity cost standpoint, that, in the next 20, 30, 40 years or so, I can, have a few $1,000,000. And if you want more, just invest more,
Invest more.
at the end of the day. So that $300 a month, maybe you can invest, I don't know, $1,000 a month or,
Yeah.
whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Right. And so, yeah.
Yeah. No, this is good. So, Damien, if people want to contact you for, I don't know if you do any consultations or advising people, but can they contact you?
They can, I started that Facebook page, Our Money Matters.
Yeah.
Um, I'm so thankful for that. It was something the Lord told me to do a while back, but and that's why I say analysis of paralysis, because we can talk ourselves out of stuff,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't have this, and that's where it normally starts,
Mm-hmm.
right? I don't have that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, but you got something. And I know that if we faithful over that something, God's going to multiply it into much. And we just have to know that without a shadow of a doubt. We just got to know it. So our lunch, Our Money Matters, I didn't have no external camera like I got now with you, Lady Pam. I don't have this ring light. I started with my iPhone. So when people look back over a year, it was my iPhone. I'm in my backyard, and I just want to share the good news, right? Around what was going on around the stimulus and things of that nature, and just really share all the information that I've been able to accumulate over the years. And so you can follow, Our Money Matters and like, I need to, post more consistently there. But I do
Mm-hmm.
have a website, damianjcarson.com, where, we do 30-minute consultations there. I'm a believer in also wanting to educate folks so they can do it themselves. And I've been practical and have practical steps that make sense, at the end of the day, to be able to help with that. And so just understanding, all things around money has really just been a blessing. So that's how they can reach out and connect with me. You can send me a message or be on Facebook here if you have any questions or whatnot. And, it took me a minute to really understand my value, Lady Pam, as we talk about that. But it's like, man, all the books that I've read and all the newsletters and the panels and stuff, it's like, you know what? I'm embracing that term expert, but I'm still trying to learn
Mm-hmm.
as I go. And so, you know, if you there and you may not have the $300, you may not have the $1,000, you may not have the 100, you might just have the 10. You know, for you and where you are, maybe we're not at the level to start investing in the 401k. You know, maybe I need to get my budget to balance right now. Maybe I got too much month and not enough money. I'm in the red. I hear you. So I'm saying, let's get out the red. Right. So we got to look at it. Right. If we don't inspect it, we can't expect it.
Right.
Right. So we gotta measure it, because whatever's not measured, it doesn't matter. So if I know I'm in the red, I need to see how much am I in the red. Right. Because that's what I'm going to do if we're in the red. I need to know where the bleeding is, in a sense. I got to be able to assess it. I can't keep my head in the sand, right, or in the box. So we're going to take a look at that, and then we come up with the plan on how do I minimize that red, right? I want to see some black at the end of the day, actually some more green, but I got to get rid of that red. So we start from where you are, regardless of where that is, because we want to maximize assets and we want to minimize liabilities, right? And the one thing that I realize, Lady Pam, is I share people, you know, life happens in seasons. And I realize that. And, you know, working with folks and sometimes having to say, hey, we might have to get rid of cable, right? We may have to turn this cell phone off. You would have thought it was like they was getting their eyes poked out, in a sense.
Right.
You know, but understanding, look, we do this for 6 months, 12 months, whatever the case may be, right? We just got to free ourselves right now, right? And so just understanding what that looks like, but realizing regardless of where you are, you can do that. You can still take advantage of opportunity costs, right? You can still win with a return on your investment, right? And you can still take advantage of compound interest. So I just wanted to share that for the folks out there, because I am sensitive, you know, to that, especially where we are and so many people being unemployed and things of that nature. So, you know, don't feel like you're by yourself or you're alone and no one's going to understand and somebody's going to judge you. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I know Bible Church, Birmingham Bible Church, Lady Pam, Dr. Mason, we not about no condemnation. So,
That's
you know,
right.
we do it from a spirit of love or what have you. So, I just wanted to share that, Lady Pam.
No, that's good. And so I'm gonna repeat that for those, and thank you for sharing that. So Damian has a website. So if you want a consultation, please reach out to him. He will assess where you are. He discussed a lot of things today, but if you're not at that point, at that level, being able to invest that $300 or $600 a month into IRA, then he can meet where you are, and let's start on getting rid of the credit, or you say getting rid of the cable, what have you. But just really assessing it, and so whatever point you're at, that's where he will meet you at, so that you can make the changes to have more of a stable financial lost my train of thought, of what you need financially. And so his
Right.
website is, and I'm gonna spell your name, because I always get the name wrong. I always
Okay.
put the E in there, but it's DAMIANJ Carson. And the Carson is spelled CARSON .com. And so thank you so much for sharing with us, Damian. Before I let you go, I'm gonna do just a few little announcements, and then
Okay.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
come back to you.
Okay. No
Okay.
problem.
All right. Okay. And just for those of you who are watching, of course, this is our year 2021. This is the year of reconstruction. And so we are believing that God is going to reconstruct everything that is in your life. And of course, you can watch us on Facebook. You can watch us on YouTube at BHAM And then we are also on Twitter under James Mason 1. And then every first Sunday, we are having a drive up worship celebration in the parking lot of the MLK Center there in the Woodlawn area. That address is 529 43rd Street North here in Birmingham, Alabama. We will be giving out free breakfast snacks, and also we'll be giving away free diapers for those of you who are in need of that as well. And so that's going to be every first Sunday, of course, in the month, weather permitting. And then we have a couple of virtual hangouts that we have for our we had seniors last night with Pastor Mason. The men meet every fourth Thursday, and excuse me, not fourth Thursday, but every fourth Friday. The children meet with Pastor Mason. Actually, tonight at 6, they have story time with him, and then we also have a special guest tonight for our children. Her name is Miss Larissa Stroud, and she's going to tell our children how to eat healthy, which is so important during these times. Of course, we family game nights are going to be announced, small groups. We just finished one, and so we'll be back with another small group in the month of May, the first Thursday in May, and so we'll give you more information on that. And then our prayer room call is every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. That is at 6 a.m. That number is 515-604-9324, and the access code is 381179. And then Pastor Mason's in a powerful series called The Church That Jesus Built. And this has been great, really talking about the purpose of the church, why the church exists, and why you need the church. And so that's going to be every Sunday at 11 o'clock a.m. And then thank you for those who continue to give for our Compassion International. We now have 11 sponsored children over in Haiti. Our latest child is Boris, and so we like to welcome him. Thank you for your contributions, because they go towards food, medical supplies, emotional needs, counseling, educational needs, and their physical growth. And then, of course, we are still praying for our president, for our vice president, their families, and the entire administration. So thank you so much for that. And then, of course, we are still believing God that He is going to, that He has land for us, for Birmingham Bible Church. So thank you for those who continuously give towards that as well. And so thank you everyone who actually logged in, who shared, who's looking at this. Damian has given us a lot of things to think about. Really, and one of my takeaways is really sacrificing today so that you can be paid in the future. We need to make sacrifices. Some of the things that we have now are just wants; they're not needs. We don't need to have them, but we want to have them. Trying to keep up with other people. But if we take those same monies and put them in vehicles that can give us that 8 to 9% interest, then we can have millions in the future. Not just for ourselves, not so that we can be, 70 years old driving a convertible. No, but so that we can have for our children, for our grandchildren. For those of you want to pay for your grandchildren's college education, you can do it through that. But just and then also creating a spending plan. The debt snowball. Once you pay off one debt, then put it on another one, and then continue to do that until you have eliminated all of your debt. And then don't forget those 4 key things. I love that Damian said: to earn, to give, to save, and then you can enjoy. And we talked about that saving don't mean the latest bag, even though if you can afford it, then by all means you can have it, or that cologne. But it is really making sure that you are saving towards some kind of vehicle so that you can have those millions, so that you can have the money that you need later for retirement. Because inflation is, a loaf of bread 30 years ago is not the same as it is today. So things cost as we get older. It's going to cost even more for a gallon of milk, for a loaf of bread. So we need to make sure that the monies that we have, that we're saving for, that can accommodate and account for that. So thank you so much for this, Damian. Of course, once again, you can contact him if you want a consultation at www.Damian, that's Damian, J Carson, CARSON.com. So thank you so much for this, Damian. I hope I covered everything. Do you have any other closing remarks for us today?
What I would say, and it's always a joy to be here and share and just to see how God's moving in my life from talking to Pastor Mason. It seems like yesterday when I was on his couch in his office, just sharing and him really speaking a word over my life and the situation that I was in, that I know it's no surprise to him.
Mhm.
But I'm just so thankful to be connected to him and you, and how you continue to pray for me, pray for my family, and check in on us. And so we want to do the same thing, collectively beyond that, check in with each other, see how we doing and things of that nature. And I just share with that, Lady Pam, is it's a process, and just really trusting the process. As much as you want to get out, and Pastor Mason asks me all the time, Damian, you still in the wheelbarrow?
I was going to
Yeah,
say that.
yeah, sometimes you want to get out the wheelbarrow. Like you will have distractions, you will have temptation, you will get, the text message from folks, and it's not bad per se, but it's not helping you make the decisions that you need to make, and just being able to create those disciplines. So, as you start out and you fall, just get back up. Like I said, I've been doing this for 20 something years. I know the challenges behind it,
Mhm.
right? But it's being able to fight, continue to persevere, continue to have faith, and just know that you can do it. And I'm learning now, even as I'm getting back into the gym, that Rome wasn't built in a day. And so don't be too hard on yourselves, regardless if you made mistakes with money in the past.
Mhm.
Like Lady Pam said, this wasn't something that we learned in school, right? I had to earn a degree to learn it, and do an internship at an investment firm. And I'm just thinking, so even with the college degree, I really didn't know it unless I studied this. And
Mhm.
so you can't be ashamed there either on where you are. So I just wanted to share that, and just, thankful to be here. But if it's anything that I can do to try to help, or, guide in any way, I'm here. And, God created us to do amazing things. And part of that is definitely winning. And so I'm glad to be a part of this Winning Wednesday, and look forward to joining you all sometime soon.
Oh yeah, we'll have you back on. I think we had you last year for something else. I think it might have been investing. I forgot what it was. But yeah, but you're definitely in our pool of people to select from. So thank you so much for this. And I will say one thing. I've tried the natural hair and it's just I can't do it. Sorry, I just thought I end with that.
That's right. That's right. Gotcha.
But no, but thank you so much. And we've had some great feedback. And so don't forget, guys, please contact Damien if you have any more questions and if you need a consultation. So thank you for joining us today, Damien.
Thank
Give
you.
our best and our appreciation to April. Thank you
I
so
sure will.
much.
Thank you too. Take
All
care.
right,
All
you
right.
too. Have a
Mhm.
great Wednesday.
You too.